and welcome to TAM Talks, where we discuss the greatest challenges that museum and cultural leaders are facing today. In this episode, I'm talking with Doug McDurham, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Art Center Waco. Welcome, Doug.
Welcome. Thank you. Good to be here.
All right, Doug, one of the first questions we usually get started with is, how did you find your way into museum work? It's never a direct or linear pattern for many. So tell us a little bit about how you got in this line of work.
Absolutely. Well, it was not linear at all for me. I am a social worker and an educator by background, and I've spent most of my career in social work settings, doing programming and working in educational settings as a social work leader. My expertise is around nonprofit management. So that's where I am professionally. My art experience is as a lover of art. My wife and I travel for exhibits, for performances. We just got back from a quick trip up to Crystal Bridges. We're museum people, but I've never worked in a museum or in an art center kind of setting until 7 months ago. When the art center director position was posted, I was not looking for a job. I was in a role that I loved and felt good about, but I also was recognizing that I am nearing the end of my working career, and was immediately intrigued with the idea of spending my last few years working in nonprofits, working in a setting that would be satisfying to me in a different way. My career has been very satisfying in the ways that I have, I felt like, given to society and given to the world, and created and supported nonprofits that function and serve a purpose. And when I looked at Art Center Waco, I just kept thinking, like, this just seems like an exciting and fun place to be that I would have a lot to contribute to. At the end of the day, it's a nonprofit, and all the governance, the fundraising, the board management, the volunteers, all of those are the kind of issues that I've worked in my whole career. And so I said in the interview, this is what I have to offer. If this is what you need, then I'm your person, and I guess that's what they needed.
That's great. Yeah, I guess you and I share a very strong passion for nonprofits and the mission-based work that we're part of. I share your sentiments. So let us know. Can you let us know a little bit about the Art Center? I know that it's a new space, and I know we saw some images just a moment ago. But can you tell us a little bit about where you're working?
Absolutely. The Art Center is this interesting mix. We're at a really interesting juncture. We are a 50-year-old organization. In about a year, we will hit our 50th anniversary. We were formed by community volunteers, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce and the Junior League initially, as a recognition that there was nothing in Waco to be sort of a center place for visual arts, and a place for folks to gather, for exhibits, for education. And so we filled that role. We were officed for 40 years in a historic home on our community college's campus. The community college was incredibly generous in their relationship with us. And it's a beautiful location, a beautiful setting, beautiful old building, and it provided a great home for us for many, many years. Until it was no longer an appropriate home when the architects said, this building is no longer safe to occupy. And so suddenly, with very little warning, we were a homeless organization. And all of the ways that we had been an established organization for 45 years at that point were suddenly undermined when you have borrowed office, you've lost your classrooms, you've lost your exhibit space. Many community partners were incredibly generous in allowing us to exhibit here and teach a class there. but it was a struggle, and then pandemic hit. And so we can't even hold classes in the ways that we've held them before. We can't do our fundraisers. And so our board said, we really have to think big, and we have to think progressively. And we ended up with this amazing, glorious building that we are in now. And so coming off of pandemic, coming off of 4 years without a home, and being in a space that is, frankly, not the kind of space folks in Waco are used to seeing. It's almost like we're a new startup, and we are starting anew. And so it's a super exciting time to be in this new place with this long, rich community history.
Yeah, that's great. So, a lot of we talk about on this program about challenges, and sounds like finding a home was a major challenge within the history of the Art Center. But are there any other challenges that you're facing today now that you have your space?
Sure, I think we deal with a lot of the same challenges that virtually every nonprofit does. What are consistent, steady forms of funding that are going to meet all of the needs. I think everyone is experiencing that particular challenge in new ways in a pandemic, when fundraising events or the things that we can normally attach sponsors' names to, like classes and exhibits, have been very different. So that's certainly been a challenge, but I don't know that that's necessarily unique. I think coming in as a little bit of an outsider, coming into this space, I think maybe one of the biggest challenges is, how do we ensure that we are relevant to all of our populations? And, in essence, how can we be everything to everyone? And I know the obvious answer to that question is we can't be everything to everyone, but how do we ensure that that we are relevant to a world today that is diverse and multifaceted, and with a lot of different demands. And so folks have very different expectations of what it means to go to a gallery, to go to an exhibit, to take a class, to participate in a fundraiser, to go to a gallery talk. And so how do we provide programming that is diverse enough to meet all those needs? How do we balance the interests of a long-term, decades worth of members with a culture that no longer necessarily thinks joining is a thing? And so bridging those marks, and I think that it's maybe amplified because of the unique place that we are, being an organization with this robust history, but also really in many ways being a startup. So many things are new, and we're kind of finding our footing in that space. So really trying to, cross all those chasms and be everything that we need to be.
Yeah, some fun challenges there. Well, in your time at the Art Center, what do you believe you all are doing well?
Well, I think several things, but I think one would be in our exhibit space. We have some very interesting and cool gallery space, and our first show really knocked it out of the park. Kermit Oliver is a world famous local artist. He's been here in Waco for several decades, super reclusive and quiet, and so not necessarily well known outside of the art world. But when we got, when Texas Monthly referred to it as the must-see art show of the season, when Texas Standard, is here spending a day interviewing him and interviewing us, Dallas Morning News, we really got some incredible press out. So we had great local press. Obviously, we're used to getting great local press. But to get that kind of press outside of Waco, and the crowds that came in from all around the state, we were pretty proud of our being able to kick it out of the park.
Sure, yeah. So high artistic quality is always something that you really want to do well as an art center. So
Absolutely.
congratulations.
Well, thanks. It was an incredible show. It was an incredible show.
Well, just to round things out, is there anything else you'd like to share with us or our viewers?
Sure, we've got a super interesting show right now. Ben Livingston, he does neon work. There's some really incredible pieces, and so glad that folks that come to the conference will get to see them. And we've got another great show coming up after that. Greg Davis is a contributing National Geographic photographer. We've exhibited his work from India a number of years ago. This is going to be his work from Oaxaca. We're bringing in Oaxacan artisans and dancers at Mescalero for the opening. He's going to be here during the reception night of the conference with a couple of his photographs and just a little bit of information. And so if folks, just to give a little taste of the next exhibit that's, after the one that's up now. And so hope a lot of the attendees will get a chance to talk to him. And he's hoping to we'll be the first, but he's hoping to take that show on the road. And he's got a couple lined up, but hope some of the other museum folks and gallery folks who will be there that night will get a chance to meet him and talk.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you for your time, Doug. Kind of letting us know a little bit about yourself and the Art Center. And folks, you heard it here. We have registrations are going through March 14th. So if you haven't been to Waco in a while or haven't been to an annual meeting in a while, which we haven't been together since 2019 in El Paso, make sure to come on Thursday, March 24th, where we'll have an evening event at the Art Center Waco. So with that, on behalf of TAM, I want to thank you for your time today, Doug.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, Hans.
All right. We'll see you all in Waco. Bye.